It is the biggest organised protest in the world. If you are wondering why the farmers are protesting, please keep watching. This video is part of a 4-part series. Today we will be discussing the history and background. Agriculture is one of the most important sectors of the Indian economy. Its growth and development affects a number of people. It's like a domino effect. Let me show you. Let's say, for example, if the farmer grows wheat, this is then turned into flour at the mill, which is then bought by a family or a business such as a pizza shop. If the farmer has not produced enough wheat, then not enough flour is produced by the mill, so the consumer will have to pay more for flour. This means less disposable income to use in other sectors of the economy and vice versa. While the total production and productivity is constantly increasing, it is essential to provide the farming community with improved marketing facilities with a suitable infrastructure in order to enable them to get a good price for their produce. So how was this achieved? Raw cotton was the first farm produce to attract the attention of the government. British rulers wanted raw cotton to be available at a reasonable price to the textile mills of Manchester. The first regulated market was the Karanja Cotton Market in 1886. The first legislation was the Berar Cotton and Grain Market Act of 1887. Berar was a province in British India. The Act allowed a British resident to declare any place in their assigned district, for example Berar, to form a market for sale and purchase of agricultural produce, and form a committee to supervise the regulated market. The Act became the model for enactment in other parts of the country. In 1928, the Royal Commission on Agriculture recommended the establishment and regulation of markets. This was done by establishing market yards in the countryside and regulating trade. A model bill was created in 1938, but not much happened until independence. Prior to independence, the major concern of the government policy related to agricultural marketing was to keep the price of food low for the consumer and keep the agro-raw materials for the industry in check. After independence, farmers were given incentive prices to increase the production of agricultural commodities. The government recognized the cost involved for farmers, for example, undue low prices, higher cost of marketing, and considerable physical losses of the produce in the agricultural marketing system. The government developed well laid out market yards for agricultural produce. These became mandatory. So here's a quick recap. The Berar Cotton and Grain Market Act of 1887 allowed a British resident to set up a regulated market in a certain area which was monitored by a committee. In 1928, the Royal Commission on Agriculture recommended the establishment and regulation of marketing practices. In 1938, a bill was created. This wasn't followed until after independence. Pre-independence, the government wanted to keep the prices of food low for the consumer and keep the agro-raw materials for the industry in check. Post-independence, they wanted to increase production by providing farmers with incentive prices. They acknowledged farmers' costs and made regulated markets mandatory. During the 60s and 70s, most of the states put into operation the Agricultural Produce Markets Regulation, also known as the APMR. All states except Kerala, Jammu and Kashmir and Manipur enacted such laws. The Agricultural Produce Market Committee, also known as the APMC, was established to frame the APMR. The APMC provides farmers with a physical platform known as a mandi. The mandi is where the farmer can market their produce, regulate the sale of produce, and collect market fees for it. The mandi ensures that farmers are not exploited and forced to sell produce at a loss by providing a minimum support price. MSP was introduced in the 60s when India was food deficient. The government wanted to increase production of commodities. Dr. Norman Borlaug, an American biologist, came to India to introduce the Green Revolution, which was the production of high-yielding wheat and rice. Punjab was selected by the government due to its reliable water supply and history of agricultural success. Farmers were reluctant to try this new high-yielding crop due to the initial cost of cultivation, which included breeding plants, developing an irrigation system, and financing fertilizer and agrochemicals. Farmers wanted a minimum price guarantee, and this is where minimum support price was introduced. The farmer goes to the APMC Mandi, which is government run, to sell their produce via auction. If the open market has less price than the cost incurred by the farmer, the government will pay MSP. MSP ensures the farmer's cost of harvest has been covered and that the farmer is able to make a minimum profit for his produce, if not more. MSP is 1.5 times the cost of production. How is cost calculated? So cost includes A2, which is the cost of seeds, fertilizer, chemicals, hired labor, fuel and irrigation. FL is family labor, and C2 is the rent on the land and money invested in physical assets such as factories, vehicles and machinery. Currently, only A2 and FL is included in the MSP calculation. The government pays MSP on 23 commodities in total. This table shows a set price for 14 commodities. It is issued by the state-run Commission for Agriculture Cost and Price. It shows the A2, FL and C2 costs. This is then followed by the MSP per quintal, which is 100 kilograms, and it's priced in Indian rupees. Final recap. The Agricultural Produce Market Committee, also known as the APMC, was established by the State Government of India. APMCs are regulated by the Agricultural Produce Marketing Regulation Act, also known as the APMR. Farmers are safeguarded from exploitation by larger retailers. Farmers sell produce at a mandi set up by the APMC, and farmers have the assurance of a minimum support price. Please like, comment and share. Make sure you subscribe so you're notified when part 2 is released.